Hi, it's December and it's coming up to Christmas Eve. 2,000 years ago, three wise men were just about finishing off their long journey on their way to Bethlehem. In the book of St. Matthew in the Bible, it tells us that they came from the rising of the sun, which we assume means they came from the east. The east of what is now Israel. Balthazar came from Arabia, Melkor came from Persia, and Caspar came from India. From a navigation point of view, they had it really easy. There was a star and they followed it. And I'm assuming when they wanted to turn left or right, the star would move left or right to make it easy. But what about everybody else who didn't have a star to follow? How did they navigate back in the day without one of these, a compass, or a GPS, or even the latest iPhone app? And don't forget, in those days, they didn't have high resolution maps. So how do you actually navigate just using the sun, the stars and the moon? Mind you, it's December, it's England and it's cloudy, so it'll be a bit of a problem for us today. But let's look at how you actually use the sun, the star and the moon to navigate. In the daytime, it's really simple to navigate because we can use the sun. But using the sun to navigate with, you have to remember it's only correct twice a year. I think it's March the 21st and September the 22nd, which is the spring and autumn equinox. Any other time of year, it's not going to be exact, but it's going to be good enough for our purposes. Now, the trick is, as always with navigation, is keep it simple. Don't start complicating stuff. So let's say there wasn't three wise men. Let's say there was four wise men, but one of them wasn't really that wise. And he set off a few weeks late. And by then, the other three, with their gold, frankincense and myrrh, were heading off towards Bethlehem. So our fourth sort of wise man, he wanted to catch him up. So he came out of his house in Arabia or Persia or somewhere. How did he know which way was west? He knew what time of day it was. He knew if it was sunset, sunrise, noon. So he knew the approximate time of day. And he also knew where the sun was. Once you've got those two things, you can navigate. There's other ways of using the sun. As an example, you can stick a twig into the ground and measure the distance to the end of the shadow and keep doing that every 20 minutes or so, either side of noon, and then the shortest shadow is going to be due north. But do you really want to start sticking twigs into the ground and waiting for hours while the shadows move? I wouldn't. So once again, the trick is to keep things simple, and luckily there is a really simple method of doing it. And all we need to do to navigate using the sun is we need to know where the sun is. It's a bit of a problem if it's too cloudy, but today's okay. And we need to know what time it is. Are you ready for this? It's really complicated, so you might want to write this down. Point the hour hand of your watch at the sun, or imagine you doing that. Halfway between the hour hand and 12 is south. That's it. How simple was that? Even our three wise and one not so wise men could have used that on the way to Bethlehem, because the Romans had pocket sundials. I know because I've seen one in Oxford Museum. So don't forget though, the sun only rises and sets, or rises in the east and sets in the west 2 days a year. Yeah. So the rest of the year, take this, take it with a pinch of salt. It's not exact, but what it will do is it will stop you walking around in circles. So once again, quick recap. Don't forget, it's really complicated. Point the hour hand at the sun, or imagine you are. Halfway between the hour hand and 12 is due south. At night time, obviously navigation's totally different. You can't see what's going on, you can't see anything around you. So what we need to do is we still need to know which way north, south, east and west is. And what you can do is you can either use the moon or the stars. So to talk about the stars first, what we need to do is we need to be able to find a star in the sky called Polaris, or as it's commonly known, the North Star. Now, if you imagine there's the Earth, so directly above the North Pole is Polaris, the North Star. So if you was on the North Pole, it would be at 90 degrees. You'd look straight up and there it'd be. If you was on the equator, it'd be at 0 degrees. You'd actually look that direction to find it. Now, the UK, which is where we are now, is approximately just over half of the way between the equator and the North Pole. So say about 55 degrees. So what you need to do is you need to look up in the sky at 55 degrees. So imagine that's 45 degrees, that's 55 degrees. So somewhere in that direction, up there, in a big circle is the North Star. The chances of finding it, if you don't know what you're looking for, is virtually nil. So what we're going to do is we're going to use something called the Big Dipper. Okay, bear with me. I'm just going to point the camera up at the sky and try and get it to focus. Okay, what you can see now is the constellation of Ursa Major. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. Okay, now the area we're looking at now, or for any real geeks who are watching this, the asterism we're looking at now, this is known as the Big Dipper. I'm not sure why it's called the Big Dipper, really. It always looked like a saucepan to me. Oh well. Anyway, on the right hand side of the Big Dipper you can see the last two stars, that's Merak and Duba. And if you imagine a line going from Merak through Duba and continuing on about 6 times the distance between those stars, you can see a very bright star, and that is Polaris, or the North Star. Now, wherever you are in the Northern Hemisphere, it's always due north. Don't forget though, as all the stars rotate around Polaris, it doesn't always look like this. Polaris is always in the middle, and the Big Dipper goes all the way around it. But if you can find the Big Dipper and follow a line from Merak and Duba, you should be able to find the North Star. Okay, so that is star navigation. Now don't forget, once you know where north is, you can find out where south, east and west is. Right, let's have a look at moon navigation. Well, I think we'll go and find the moon first, because in case you've never seen it before, I'll go and hunt the moon out. Wow, it's cold tonight. Let me take my head torch off. I'll hook it on over here so you can see me. Right. That thing up in the sky behind me, that is the moon, and you can use the moon to navigate by. The problem with that, saying that, is the moon is different in some ways to the sun and the stars and all the rest, in that it changes every single day of the month, which means that it's complicated. That's the best way to put it. Now, I'll give you a couple of tips. If it's a full moon, so it's a mirror image of the sun, you can use the hour hand method that we used earlier on in the daytime with the moon. To find south another way, imagine it's a crescent moon. What you do is join the two ends of the crescent together, draw a line down to the horizon, and where it touches the horizon, that is approximately south. There's lots more things you can learn about moon navigation, but on this video, don't have time. So that'll have to do. I'm going for a cup of tea because I'm freezing. Okay then, I hope you found that interesting and at least a little useful. Nowadays, most of us in the UK don't need the ability to be able to navigate by the stars and the sun and the moon. But it's a good navigation skill to have, and it's fun to practice, so why not? There's lots of other methods of navigating without a compass and a map. As an example, if you're in a forest, the moss tends to grow on trees on the north side. If you're out in the open countryside and you can see a tree, the branches tend to grow slightly towards the south. Some parts of the country, the wind comes predominantly from certain directions. So there are lots of other methods of using navigating without using a map and compass. I haven't got time on this video to go through them all. In the UK, we're lucky as maps and compasses are actually quite cheap, and most of the time the Ordnance Survey maps are really accurate. But like I said, in the UK you can rely on your map and compass. When you can confidently use a map and compass, it does open up the wilder areas of Britain, and you can visit places without fear of getting lost that you maybe normally wouldn't visit. Okay, so I'm one of the instructors from the Map Reading Company. Our website address is bottom right of the screen down there. If you fancy a couple of days out with us in the countryside on a course, we run courses all over England for novice, intermediate, right up to advanced. So it'd be really good to see you, and hopefully we'll see you next year. Thanks for watching and have a great Christmas.